Welcome to Astoria Film Festival Presents, our weekly half-hour program featuring our films, filmmakers, events, and the local community. Today we're continuing our series, Queens Nonprofits, with a look at our local parks, namely Socrates Sculpture Park and Astoria Park, run by the Astoria Park Alliance. Promotional funding for Queens Nonprofits was provided by a grant from the NYC&Company Foundation and the Queensborough President's Office of Cultural Affairs.
So Audrey DeMola, thank you so much for being with us. Can you tell us a little about what you do here?
Yeah, so I am the Director of Public Programs at Socrates Sculpture Park, which basically means the ringmaster of the 17,000 ring circus. So I only. So I dream up, plan, manage, and execute all of the events, the public programs, which includes festivals, at one point movies, music, concerts, fitness offerings. So yeah.
How did you find out about the position? When did you come to Socrates?
Oh my God, craziest story. So I grew up coming here. This park is my heart. This park is part of my body. I grew up 2 blocks away. So I've always loved this place, and especially as I got older, it just became a place for solace, just sitting by the river, writing, clearing my head. I was here a lot more and really understanding that balance of nature and place and interrelation between the two. And it was honestly chance. I was totally in this down and out place after a very, one of the most difficult times in my adult life ever. I was unemployed, didn't have a place to live, everything. And my mom, I always have to say it in this story, my mom was like, check Socrates, check Noguchi Museum. And I'm like, no one's ever hiring.
It's so true.
But they were. And there was a seasonal position in public programs. I had actually replied to an old ad, by the grace of God. I called and they were like, yeah, that's actually from last year. I felt dumb for a second, but then they were like, we're putting together that position for this year right now. So it really was like, I can't say anything but like right place, right time, right movement of energy and spirit. And I was hired by the amazing, who is now, deep friend and mentor, the Director of Public Programs at that time, who was Pasqualina Azzarello. And then through an amazing and crazy series of events, Pasqualina ended up leaving Socrates. And because of her, she allowed me to throw my hat in the ring to be considered for her replacement. And they chose me, and so I was hired seasonally in April, and by August, September, I was putting on that hat. Wow. So absolutely crazy, and next month will be 5 years. Longest job I've ever had.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so beautiful. Can you tell us a little about the history of the park, like how it started, when it started?
It's my favorite thing to talk about because this was literally an illegal dump site in the 80s. Dangerous around here, and Mark DeSuvero, living legend, like one of my huge heroes, he had a studio and still does have a studio down the street from us called Space Time. And he's the one who noticed this tract of land that could transform into something so incredible for the people if someone could steward it. And so he literally got together with other artists and people in the community, and that's the thing that I love so much. He brought in the folks from Astoria houses, he brought in the folks from the neighborhood. And I still meet people who were like, I was there, I helped make Sculpture Park. Wow. And it's incredible. And so this was like literally by the people, for the people, community effort. It was not designated an official city park until later. We say that our founding is 1986, and we didn't become an official city park until like 96, 97. And so after the park was, transformed into this space that then was for large-scale sculpture, because Mark is a sculptor that uses massive materials, I-beams, metal, in this really beautiful lyrical way. So created this space for the community for large-scale public sculpture. And then, of course, developers notice what's going on here. And there was totally a moment where if the mayor at the time felt differently, this would not exist. I would not be standing here. I would not have met you. I would not. And that's the effort that, you know, Mark and the other artists and all the people involved were rallying together with other organizations to petition, basically, to say, look at what we've done. Do not let this happen. We want to keep this. And so now we are a public-private partnership. It was really rare in those days. So we are Socrates, the nonprofit, and we have a license agreement to program, operate, and maintain the space, which is a New York City park. So we are a city park. None of us are parks employees. And so it is this, Socrates is all about this incredible dance of all these elements, even from what it is, what it was, and all the spaces that it holds.
That's beautiful. How has COVID kind of affected everything around here? How have you guys been dealing?
So I mean, my job obviously totally changed. I was like, what am I supposed to, like, you know, we were at the point where I was programming for spectacle. You know, I was like this, and feeling like the ringmaster, feeling like Peter Pan in Neverland. You know, let's go bigger, 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 bigger. You know, we were having hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of people passing through here. You know, Guelaguetza Festival, which is Ballet Folklorico Mexicano, there was like almost 4,000 people, you know, passing through here over the span of, you know, a number of hours. So then to suddenly just know, you know, all that falls out from under us, but like everything else during this strange time, it's letting what is really true rise to the surface. And what immediately came up was, you know, everyone was pivoting to online programs, and we were like, our space is open and we need to get our show up. This show that our exhibition, which is currently, as we're talking right now, Monuments Now, have been in the works for 2 years. So it was just like everything was like against all odds, you know, and our small but mighty staff being here, keeping this park open every single day. We never closed during the pandemic. Wow. As a New York City park, we had to, we wanted to, and it was such an experience of like deep grace of just receiving the community in that way, receiving their gratitude and knowing that we were holding this space with them, for them. And then just like, you know, community efforts and mutual aid that were bubbling up to the surface as well. You know, we were able to, because of Hellgate Farm, we were able to continue our farmers market. We partnered with, you know, some existing partners and new partners, like Astoria Mutual Aid Network did voter registration for us. Astoria Urban Agriculture Alliance did some seed sharing. The Connected Chef was doing her Lifeline grocery packages. She was doing food distribution. Ballet Folklorico actually opted, instead of doing their festival, to do a huge food distribution. So it just really, for me, like, I even am saying it this year, like, it broke my programming brain in the best way of just like, this needs to come really from the ground. This needs to come from a listening and a being with and a sensing, instead of a programming on top of. And also I would say I really want to give big ups to our lead educator, Doug Paulson, who made this incredible project called Let's Talk. And there's all these signs in the park right now, and he was posting up in that kiosk in the front and literally having this like protracted conversation with people in which they were asking, he was asking them a question, they would have this conversation, he would record their responses and then ask for a question from them. And so just to also hold that simple space of like socially distant, people just need to talk to somebody. And especially, well, you know, I love that Doug asked and also allowed for the asking of difficult questions. You know, out there, one of the questions, you know, have you talked to your family about racism? What is the purpose of discomfort? You know, have your religious beliefs changed? Have your ideas about money changed during this time? Like, so how, and also the show is dealing with fraught subject matter too, and just really knowing like, okay, we are a safe space and we're gonna step into this and not kind of stay on the outside.
No. What's coming up for the park?
Yes. So excited. Oh my God. May 15th, Guadalupe Maravilla. So excited because of the themes that the show deals with, the themes that Guadalupe works with in his life and his work, which are trauma healing, generational healing, sound healing. And then after that, our Emerging Artist Fellowship, the theme is sanctuary. And then we're gonna have a season. So check in with me, check on Instagram, things are going to be happening here. So everything's on Socrates Sculpture Park.org. And we do, thanks to our wonderful communications manager, Sarah, we have a really active social media presence. So that handle is just Socrates Park on Twitter, Instagram. Instagram is particularly colorful and fun. Yeah. We've been doing Instagram takeovers and etc. And then we're on Facebook, just Socrates Sculpture Park. Awesome. I want to read this really quick because, and like it's all messed up because I carry it with me and I have it on my computer. Enrico Martignoni is another one of the folks who are the bedrock of Socrates, along with de Suvero, and I found this in one of the early exhibition pamphlets. Ignorance of the real natural world threatens us. The myth of progress is a threat, and the assumption on the part of the state that it has created order also threatens us. The knowledge gained at Socrates has come from the work of changing the reality of 5 acres of waterfront land. What was abandoned is now cared for. What was barren is now fertile. What was invisible is seen and reinvented by hundreds of people. Socrates is a place we struggle with winter and summer through drugs and violence, tides and phases of the moon. It takes us away from our individual selves and makes us be a part of our larger self, the whole universe. Socrates is about constant reflection and work. The direct experience of nature and society has brought knowledge, and it has been good. To communicate this awareness and sense of community is a struggle. The work of creating an environment has been done well. Could it have been done better? Like, Socrates is something positive for people. The park is an attempt to do something ignored by others. Something beautiful has been created, something people can feel positive about. We may not win the struggle to keep open space for the public at Socrates or to keep exploration of form, space, light, and color as a part of Hallett's Cove, but we have laid a foundation. It is a foundation created with an enormous amount of work, and yet we have done nothing which cannot be done elsewhere.
So, that's beautiful. Doug Monaco with the Astoria Park Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for the organization and what the organization does for Astoria Park?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Doug Monaco. I'm the Marketing Communications Director for Astoria Park Alliance, and I really am focused on creating outreach, building up our volunteer base, and building a community. That's what we're all about. We use the park as a meeting point, and it's really refreshing, especially these days when everybody's on the computer so much, to get out and converse, while social distancing, but really create that communal feel while advocating for environmental sustainability, for conservation efforts. We're out here on the shoreline once a month in the summer, every other week. We do an activity in the park that includes painting bridges, painting benches, picking up litter, and we really come in there to help out as part of the community. In the fall we have a Leaf Fest activity where there are tons of leaves in the 60-acre park, and we work with local groups to compost them, and basically they get recycled and they feed our tree beds throughout the city. So really, also a bit of education about how to conservation initiatives, and we're really advocating for sustainability in Astoria Park growth and well-being. We started as a community volunteer group really back in 2007. Our founder, Martha Lopez Gilpin, attended the 4th of July's Independence Day fireworks show here, and came the day after, and there was tons of litter, and she just started picking up trash, and gradually grew. She got I think they started with six of her friends, and would come out here on regular basis, and really from there started to build throughout the years. And 10 years later, in 2017, we became an official 501c3 nonprofit, and really have been able to expand, and consistently the community started relying on us essentially We got a lot of great ideas from the community, and we like to empower individuals and make a change. First of all, once a month we come down to the shoreline and do a shoreline cleanup. There's tons of litter from boats and from people congregating on Shore Boulevard, and really, this spreads throughout the city. So it's the first line of impact. We go down here for 2 hours and make a change. And we have a ladder. It's all regulated. But we team with the Parks Department and ask the Parks Administrator what their needs are. So often, we'll have a project that will come up, randomly, and we're excited to tackle that. But we love to take ideas from the community. We also, a couple years ago, we renovated the bocce ball court that has been dysfunctional for nearly 20 years, and it was one of our members' ideas, and we teamed up with some local contractors, really. But really, we had an IOB campaign ourselves. The community helped out, and it's quite nice now. Of course, there's construction going on at the moment, but a lot of pet projects like that. So we also have events throughout the year. Some of those are recurring, but some of those are fresh ideas. Last year we did a pumpkin smash event to recycle pumpkins properly and
get out frustration.
Yeah, get out frustration for sure. In the midst of COVID pandemic, it was great to have people, congregate and in a responsible manner. We like to create family fun activities and to get people outside and enjoying this park. Fortunately, it's 60 acres. It's quite big and easy to social distance. So those are some of the projects, but we're always teaming with the Parks Department to see what their needs are. COVID broke. It was right at the start of our volunteer season. So we took a pause and really, congregated internally with our board, and no one had a great idea. No one had the perfect solution. It was interesting when the storm Isaiah hit us in around April. A lot of tree branches fell, and there was a danger in the park essentially. And one of our volunteers, Miriam, one of our board members, had this great idea to create a makeshift cleanup event. Got about 20 different volunteers, and we limited that. We made sure to safe distance and use masks. But it was a great success. It really built up the morale of the community, and people were asking for more. We saw that we could do it responsibly, so gradually we grew those activities and came back to a normal, twice a week schedule. What was really helpful and what changed was, we used to have sign-up sheets, and people would congregate around a table. Through our website, using Squarespace, we were able to create a registration form that also operated as a waiver form, and we were able to do contact tracing that way. And it killed 3 birds with 1 stone essentially,
Totally.
and that's something we're going to keep going. We have a tulip planting activity annually, and we want to place those tulips at an equal distance from each other, and again, that's giving back to the environment, the conservation efforts. Sometimes there's drainage problems here in the park too, so we have a lot of manpower, and we're literally digging out sediment and bringing it out here to the water so that our pathways could flow naturally and there's no clogs and so forth. Shore Boulevard has been clogged before, I'm sure you've seen, and it's something, when these needs arise, we brainstorm and try to make it happen.
A little history about the park, kind of when was it started, and I know the pool has some historical significance as well.
Yeah, Astoria Park was planned back in 1905, and in October of 1913, construction started, and really that year in December it officially became Astoria Park. And throughout the years, the Astoria pool is the biggest outdoor pool in New York City. I think at one point it was in the United States, and it hosted 3 different Olympic trials here, which I know the community has a lot of pride in. In 2007 it was designated a landmark, and that's the same year that Astoria Park Alliance was founded, just ironically. Recently, there's been renovations within the last 5-10 years. We did a lot of community building and communication about that, gathering ideas, and that's of course in the works. We're hoping to use the pool as well, as a performance space, that diving board area, So those diving boards are staying, but there's not going to be water in there anymore. And we'll see. It's
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's still in development.
Interesting.
But
So it's going to be more of a theater than a pool.
the diving board section.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the pool is actually expanding a little bit to where the playground was.
I see. Oh, wow.
And all these things. There's a lot of red tape that goes into it.
Oh, yes.
But you got to make the best out of the situation. That's what we try to do, live in the moment. But Astoria Park has great history and tons of pride in the community, for sure. We always welcome new members, and really that's what I love about meeting neighbors. I've met lifelong friends through the group. I've met my wife through the group. We just had a baby, first Astoria Park Alliance baby, we meet every other week here. You can find out our events on our website, AstoriaParkAlliance.org, as well as our Facebook page, and we'll be planning for the spring season soon. And we go until late November with Leaf Fest activities. So we're going to try to bring back as many activities as we can. This year we have a new event being planned, a musical walk through the park, where we'll have 4 different open tented areas, and local musicians will play. And we really, again, want to use that as a community building activity. And through our activities, we welcome new members. We do have a board and an officer group. It's a great way to boost your leadership skills, and it's a friendly environment. 2 hours a week out here is nothing in the grand scheme of things for the fulfillment you get out of it. So it's pleasant being out there when we do these early camps. But a lot of that comes from litter from here, Shore Boulevard.
Wow. So the beautiful Tink Lake is litter.
Essentially, yeah.
The Astoria Film Festival is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We produce an annual film festival that highlights short films, feature films, web series, and podcasts from filmmakers around the world, and hold meetups and smaller screenings throughout the year to support local filmmakers. Our founder and executive director, Nina Fiore, grew up in Astoria, New York, and worked in television, digital media production for many years with MTV, PBS, Viacom, Sundance Channel, and many others. She also worked in after-school education. Nina began the festival with the hopes of uniting students interested in careers in film, television, and digital media production with local experts in the field. The majority of proceeds from our festival go into creating education workshops for local schools, after schools, and community centers. We also run a Film Fellows program where we provide work, internships, mentorships, and training for students ages 15 to 25 with an interest in film, television, and digital media production. Most of our programming is now done virtually via Zoom for ages 8 to 12, 13 to 18, and 15 to 25. If you'd like more information about our organization, please visit AstoriaFilmFestival.org. Thank you.
We expect you to do 10 dozen cookies the first time you come in. The second time you come in, I'm expecting 15 dozen.